Welcome. Would you like to introduce your name, year, course, and university?
Hello, I'm Michael Paler, and I just finished the master's course of animation in Bournemouth University, and I recently graduated a few months ago.
Could you tell us your hometown?
I'm actually a local. I'm from Bournemouth, but back in first year, I used to live in New Milton, which is an hour away by train.
Could you remind us of the course you're currently taking?
So I just finished master's in animation.
Okay. Why did you choose your course?
So in my undergrad, I was doing a similar course, pretty much exactly the same, called computer visualization and animation, and it's sort of like a blend between technical and artistic. So I decided to take the master's course because, for me, when I finished my third year, I felt that I wasn't quite ready enough for the industry. I didn't have a good enough portfolio to go in. So for me, the master's course was to just spend another extra year preparing myself. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And you've obviously a master's course being a year long and an undergrad being 3 years long.
Yep.
What have you thought of your whole university experience of the course? Have you enjoyed it? Overall. So we'll go first for your undergrad.
Yeah.
So what have you thought of your undergrad course as a whole?
Overall, in terms of like teaching, it wasn't very good because for me, especially like I didn't know too much about like CG and 3D animation and all that stuff, and they kind of just they introduced us to like the different like parts of because there's like different roles in the animation industry. There's like animation, rigging, lighting, stuff like that, and they introduced us to it, and then they sort of just let us do our own thing. So it's very like independent learning, whereas I thought that they would guide us more.
Okay. And your masters?
So masters was actually really good since it's only 1 year. Some people went into the masters without any background knowledge of animation and 3D. So what they did really well is that they actually guided you throughout the entire year. So like in the first semester, you get taught like basic stuff and they help you a lot. And then the second semester, you get more advanced and you're more independent, but they still guide you. And then in the final semester, you get to make your own like project. It can be a solo project or it can be like with other people. And you mostly do it yourself, but you're gonna have mentors from the actual industry to guide you. Okay. So which is great.
Did you have a placement year while at university?
So I personally didn't have one, but you are allowed to get one. But in the animation industry, it's very difficult. For my year, I think only 2 or 3 people actually went in placement out of like 120. So
just a placement year? Do you suggest a placement year?
It really depends on what you want, because there's pros and cons to it, you know. Like if you do a placement year, like because the thing is, in third year you do a thing called final major project, which is you basically at the beginning of the year get a group together and you make a project and you submit it at the end of the year. But if you go in placement, all the friends that you made during your year is not going to be there in third year. Okay. So when you go back to uni,
fresh people,
fresh people, they already know like their other course mates, and you're going to have a hard time like, you know, making a group. Exactly. Yeah. But you do get experience from the industry, so that's a pro.
Did you come from a sixth form or A-level background?
I came from A-level background.
And what subjects did you take at A-level?
I did maths, physics, computing, and games design.
Did any of these subjects help you with your course?
The games design actually helped a lot. The computing would have helped a lot if I didn't fail it. So I actually dropped that in my first year. So yeah, I did pretty bad on that. But yeah, the games design course helped a lot.
And what do you think the best A levels / subjects are for your course?
Oof, well, obviously, games design would help you a lot because they do a lot of CG stuff, and you do that a lot in animation as well. Uh, Basically, any like arts A level, like photography, graphic design, will help you a lot because I mean, there's a lot of roles in the animation industry. For example, like photography is going to help you with lighting and look development because you're going to have that eye. Yeah,
Mm.
and then let's say maps. Maps can help you a lot with like coding and programming and stuff like that. And that goes into like effects and like developing tools. So there's a lot of like subjects that can like feed in to what you want to be, if that makes sense.
Okay. So if we now go into your university,
Yep.
could you mention the university you studied at for your undergrad and masters?
So for both undergrad and masters, I went to Bournemouth University.
If we go into the best and worst things about studying at Bournemouth University, starting off with the worst.
The worst, I would say, is to be honest, I wasn't a fan of the campus itself because it was quite small.
Mhm.
I, especially like when it gets to like summer, you really like after working inside the computer labs for so long, you kind of just want to sit outside, like in the grass maybe. But it's in the summer that you're not going to find a spot to sit down because it's just filled with people,
Mm.
and there's not much like outside areas to chill.
Is there any, so it's more of just the area of where you can actually study in. So it's not big enough for the amount of students on campus.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there
It's
anything
tiny.
else bad about your university experience, or was that pretty much it?
Uh,
So it's just
Trying to
being a
think.
student at Bournemouth University in general.
I'm trying to think.
If there's nothing else bad, that's good too.
That's the only thing that's standing out to me, to be honest.
Okay. So what are the best things about studying at Bournemouth
The
University?
best thing, well, I personally I like eating out. I love food, and Bournemouth has this thing called, well, not Bournemouth, but like there's a company called A-List, and they do once you get it for like I think you pay £25, and that lasts for an entire year.
Mm.
And with that £25, you basically get discounts to like pretty much every single restaurant in Bournemouth. So, for example, like at Noodle Bar, you get 50% off the entire menu,
Mm.
which is insane.
Can you explain what Noodle Bar is?
Noodle Bar is just like this Asian restaurant. I think it's next to, it's around the Cranbourne area,
Yeah.
and they do like katsu chicken noodles, like Chinese curry, stuff like that. Just like your basic Asian food.
Okay. So if we now go into your accommodation, where did you live in your first year?
So in first year, I actually lived in New Milton, which is an hour away by 30 minutes away by train.
Hmm.
It's been a long time. Yeah. So yeah,
And-
that's where I live.
What was it like, obviously, commuting from
Yeah.
your home to university?
So it wasn't too bad because I had a train pass. But the only thing what was pretty bad, I guess, was like going to like social events, especially to like parties and like just going out after uni. Because normally you finish uni, no one really has any plans. You know, everyone goes home.
Mm.
But when everyone goes home, they live in like Cranbourne or like these accommodations that are close to uni.
Mm.
Whereas I had to take the train home, which was like 30 minutes and then like another 20-minute walk.
Mm.
So like it gets to like evening around 7 p.m. and stuff like that, and then people start making plans. And I'm like, I just got home, guys.
Did you manage to have the same experience when it came to going out? So like nightlife wise?
Yeah. I would say so because like for me, I made the extra effort to like really go out of my way and like socialize. Because like if you're living in accommodation, it's quite easy. You can go out with your flatmates, and you're there already. It's like 5 minute walk. But for me, I have to take the train and walk there and plan ahead. So I would say like I didn't really miss out on too much because like I had a friend that I could stay over as well. Like whenever we went to like clubs and stuff like that.
And if we now go into your second year, where were you living? Accommodation?
So in second year, like me and my family actually moved into Bournemouth.
Okay.
Just because like it was easy for everyone for like jobs and uni and stuff like that. So I lived in.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
I lived in like Boscombe area, which is 20-minute walk from the train station, Bournemouth train station.
And what was that like living in now Boscombe for your university experience?
Oh, it was so much better. Like it's way better. Like,
what was the Boscombe area like? Is it nice, bad? Is it got a lot of food shops, like you said, for your takeouts?
So to be honest, whenever it came to food, I never went to Boscombe. It was always Bournemouth town.
Okay.
So I can't say too much about Boscombe food because it's always
area.
Boscombe area. I mean, same same thing. I rarely go to Boscombe town. I always go Bournemouth town because that's where all my friends are.
And now your third year?
I just finished. Oh, my third year.
Third year.
Yeah. So third year was a lot more chill, like less going out and more like focusing on work.
Was it still in the same Boscombe house?
Oh yeah. I'm still living
and then
there
now your masters. Same thing?
It's still the same place, yeah.
So you just stayed pretty much staying with your parents the whole time through university?
Yeah.
And what would you say the biggest benefit was staying at home?
Money and food.
Could you expand?
So all right, that's first of all money. I don't have to pay for accommodation, which is huge. Second of all, food. Obviously, I don't have to like buy everything, even though I still bought my own food because I like that independence. So yeah, it's mainly just money because like I never have
accommodation. Can
you say that again? Sorry.
The amount you spend, the students spend obviously the 6,000, the 8,000 on staying in accommodation.
Yeah, I think that's for me like that's a lot of money saved, and
okay,
I like that.
And you talked about independence. Do you feel like you can be independent while at home?
Yeah, like my parents are pretty chill. Like as long as I text them like, "Hey, I'm going out. I'll see you guys tomorrow." It's all good.
And do you think there's any negatives to living at home, except for obviously, like you said, when your friends got home 7 p.m. and they kind of made plans?
So is this back in New Milton or?
So this is while in Boscombe?
Oh, while in Boscombe. I mean, to be honest, like when I'm living here now, it's pretty much the same as
being in accommodation.
Exactly.
Okay, and New Milton, being back in New Milton, did there any negatives?
It's quite a lot, especially like time. Okay. Like it's a lot harder to make plans with people because with people who are living in accommodation, you just text them, "Hey, do you want to go here?" And 5 minutes later, like, "Oh, we're here." But for me, it's like, "Hey, do you want to go here?" I'll see you there in an hour and a half. Yeah. So it's just a lot of time.
Would you say it affected your university, like actual course experience?
Actual course, as in like.
So obviously going into university.
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. So now, go on.
Like you can mitigate that like negative experiences by just putting more effort in it. If that makes sense.
So if you put in the time and effort, you can counter what you're missing out on.
Yeah, I think so.
If we now go into the Bournemouth area, could you tell us about the Bournemouth nightlife pre-COVID? What was the club for you?
Well, the clubs that we always went to was Walkabout, Steak Bite Sunday.
Could you tell us why that was your favorite club?
So one of my friends, because we all had this thing called A-list.
Okay.
And with A-list, you get a lot of discounts for walkabout, and you get free entry as well, and you get to jump queue. So it was just extremely convenient for us to go there, because we don't need to go there before 10 or whatever. We can just go whenever, and we'll get straight in.
Okay.
And we get discounts for drinks as well. And I mean, once you're inside the club, like it's every single club is almost the same, you know.
Okay. Can you tell us about the shops in Bournemouth? So this is more your shops for, you know, getting your essentials, your everyday items. Obviously, you said you don't have to get as much living at home, but
Yeah.
were the shops still available to you? Did it have more traditional shops or more local shops?
You can get like there's a huge variety of shops in Bournemouth Town, and in most accommodations, that's like a 5-10 minute walk. So you have a lot of access to like different kinds of shops, and there's different kinds of like culturally different shops. Like there's like Romanian shops and other shops and stuff like that.
If we now go into the food shops, the restaurants,
Yeah.
is it? What would you say
Like
the
my favorite.
best restaurant you
Oh
found?
man,
And what was your favorite?
best.
And favorite dish?
I'd have to go with noodle bar, and my favorite would have to be the chicken katsu sweet chili stir fry.
Okay. And is there a lot of shops again, traditional and chain shops, or is it more local, or is it more chain?
I would say there's a lot more. Actually, no. I would say it's 50-50.
Okay.
There's a lot of chain and a lot of local. Like Noodle Bar used to be a local, and since they've gotten so much popular, they're now spreading out to like Southampton and Poole and stuff like that. So yeah.
What general advice would you give to students about to study at university?
General advice
General
is,
advice.
I mean, if you're going into first year, I would say like make the effort to know your course mates, because you're going to be with them for the next 3 years, and you might meet them in the future because you'll be in the same industry. So just make a lot of effort getting to know your course mates, because you're going to know them for a while.
What advice would you give to students about to study at Bournemouth University?
To study. So can you clarify?
So just students going to study at Bournemouth, so specific Bournemouth University advice. So was it about visiting certain shops, maybe visiting certain facilities, taking advantage of Bournemouth being one of the medias for your course, the biggest, one of the best universities for it, or?
Right. So for animation.
So just Bournemouth University in general.
In general. Well, I guess I would make use of the libraries, because there's a library on campus, and there's a library in Bournemouth Town.
Okay.
So and the one in Bournemouth Town is within access of like most accommodations in like 5-minute walk.
Okay.
And I don't think a lot of people actually know, but it's like 24 hours.
Okay.
And you can just walk in, walk out, and there's a quiet area, there's a loud area, if you just need to study and get away from your flat, just go to the library. It's a great place.
What advice would you give to students about to study your course at university?
My course is I would say in first year, I would say to enjoy the most of like the social life and like going out and stuff. But I would say not to fall behind with the coursework. Like you don't need to like ace every single unit. You don't need to get like first. You just make sure that you're on top of your knowledge and you don't get behind in any of the units, because it's going to carry on second year and third year. So if you set yourself up for failure in first year, you're going to set yourself up for failure in second and third year.
Okay. You chose going to university over an apprenticeship / going right into work. What path you to make this choice?
So in animation, it's a lot of skill, and to get a job, it's not really about like a degree. It's more about like the actual skill that you have and the experience, and like, can you actually make this? Yeah. So university for me was like they get to teach me, and I also get to be around like-minded people, because I think atmosphere is very important. Like you need to be like in a hard-working atmosphere to perform well, because if you're not, I don't think you're going to do it as well. And I think universities, like especially in my course, is filled with a lot of people that are like very passionate about what they do, and it's nice to be in that environment.
You're now a couple months out of university, it being January this month, and you finish in university in September. What is life like after university?
It's pretty like it's pretty weird actually, because like with COVID and that,
Obviously,
like
making it a bit different.
yeah, but like yeah, it's kind of like a bit of a shock, because one day you're doing a project, you submit it, and next day you're out, you know, and you have to look for jobs. It's quite a big jump. So I think like you kind of need to like mentally prepare yourself in the last year to be like you're going out in the real world, getting jobs and stuff.
Do you have any,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you have any advice, kind of like tips or something that would have personally done yourself if you knew?
So I would say in your final year, definitely like get it in your head that like you're going to be out of education in like a year, maybe a few months, and that you're going to be doing interviews, you're going to be making LinkedIn and like CVs and show reels and stuff like that. So I would just say like keep it in the back of your head while doing your final year, and maybe like doing a bit of research about what to do with like interviews, CVs, stuff like that. Like basically like slowly prepare yourself. Don't just like finish uni and be like, all right, now I'm going to prepare. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so make the plans before you finish.
Yeah.
Could you tell us more about your portfolio / showreel?
So you can look at my portfolio on my website, michaelpaler.com. And I also have an Instagram that shows all my work. It's at Paler Anims. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. Just type my name, Michael Paler, and you should find me there.
At this point, I have students have what I like to call free for all. You can say what you want about what you like. You can give advice. You can say something smart. You can say something dumb. You could say literally anything. The floor is yours.
All right. Literally anything.
Anything.
Join the gym. The uni gym's pretty cool. Join the societies as well. There's a weightlifting society. They're pretty cool. They'll teach you about weightlifting. They're really nice. And yeah, that's the first thing that came in my head.
That's all right. So
don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'm plugged in.
Amazing. Thank you.